You are now listening to Halal Talks.
Or you're now in a chaplain at, I believe, UCLA and UCI.
Yes.
So is
USC and UCI.
USC and UCI. So has that kind of academic environment, is that what you truly enjoy and thrive in? Is that kind of what's brought you over there?
I would say no.
Interesting. Okay. So then, what has brought you then to USC and UCI?
I mean, I love learning. I'm not a huge fan of the academic model. I just feel like there's a lot of false entitlement and arrogance in the academic model of learning. I like the Muslim model is like, you have to accept that you're ignorant, otherwise you're not going anywhere. So why am I there? Essentially because after I resigned from the masjid that I was working in, then Sheikh Noman told me that he had this idea and that he thinks that we'd be good at it. And so, do you want to try it? So I said, yeah, bismillah. So we started at UCLA and USC, and then we expanded into UCI, and then we brought someone else on to do UCR, Sheikh Ahmed Kurdi, and then we expanded to everywhere we're at now. Eight chaplains in 8 campuses.
Wow.
And now, last year I did UCLA, USC, and UCI, but this year I only have USC and UCI. And basically what we do there is largely not academic, right? So it's basically just office hours. One of the things I like about chaplaincy is it's very low key and it's basically service in the end. You know, you go and you have open office hours. Students come, they talk about whatever they want to talk about. You learn how to listen to them. You learn how to pay attention to them. You learn how to care for them, how to love them, how to get yourself out of the picture, to get out of the way, all of these kind of things, and just deal with whatever they're dealing with. And so in an average week now, I have about like in the range of 12 to 13 hours of office hours, which is a lot more exhausting than it sounds, and is way more than imam work, by the way. We have way more one-on-one FaceTime in chaplaincy than in imam work. And then we have halaqas on each of the campuses. And initially we were trying to do more like intellectually rigorous type things in halaqa, but we realized that students, after being in class all week, they don't really want to do anything intellectually rigorous. So we're just do more like imaniyat type things, more like spiritual type stuff, things that make people feel good.
Did you think Azhar prepared you for this?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't think that it directly did in any sort of way. But they don't claim to do that, you know? They claim to give you the tools, and you need to figure out how you're going to use the tools in your context. But I think that the spirit of Azhar did prepare me in some ways. And I think the spirit of Azhar is this idea of someone who has spent time studying and they love the people of knowledge. Not because they have a lot of knowledge per se, but because these people are the inheritors of the Prophet ﷺ, and because these people live the Sunnah, and because they love the people and they spend time with the people, and so on and so forth. Like when we were talking about Azhar and it's spreading and the way it used to be, if you think before modern communication, all of these kind of things, right? Every village sends their young people to study in Azhar in Cairo. And Azhar takes a break every year, 2 weeks before Ramadan to 2 weeks after Ramadan. At which point, all of the students that are in Egypt go back to their villages. And they teach and they lead Taraweeh and they do this and they do that. And like they're a window into the life of the city for all of these villages, right? But the way of like the real, I would say, ulama of Azhar is very low on the ground and very much in the service of the people. You know, like, let's drink tea together. Let's talk. What are your issues? Can I help you? You know, can I help you take care of something? I was just listening to a story about Shaykh Dardir, Allah yarhamu, who's like a big figure in the Egyptian scene. Not that long ago, a couple 100 years ago. They say he was known for helping people. He was known for qada hawa'ij an-nas. Like he would take care of people's issues. He'd help them with things. And he was known actually that his dua was answered. So people would come to him and they'd ask him to make dua when they were missing things or when they lost something or such. Like that was his. And then there was a story and like, you know, but like that spirit of like know who you are and be founded in something and know your tradition and have respect for it and have respect for those who came before you and love the righteous people, you know, and that feeling, and then serve the people, I think that helped in many ways.
Yeah.
That helps. But, you know, the specific types of knowledge and so on, all those things are just, you know, part of being an inheritor of that tradition that you have to go through, that informs you.
Right.
But
Yeah, I think that's like a important distinction. I remember you gave a khutbah about disembodied knowledge, where it's just you're consuming a lot of information, but there's no application, and that could be very unhealthy for someone's heart.
I mean, just to be fair, the vast majority of people of learning, quote unquote, that we came across in Egypt were that. The vast majority of people that we saw in Azhar were that disembodied learning, right? Just people who got PhDs and whatever. They're teaching the subject, and they have no actual spiritual connection with what they're teaching. But there are still a handful of people that are true to that tradition, and that's where the real thing lies. Just to be clear, because people are coming and say, well, Azhar has this and that. It's true. Azhar has all kinds of problems. But that doesn't mean that the core of people who still represent that real reality are not there.
And for the chaplaincy, so the one-on-one session, that's almost like a counseling, really, right? And I think that's great to kind of see that really emerging, because I think our community and the Muslim community has such a taboo against kind of seeking that counseling. And I think you've kind of written about that too in articles about mental health. Yeah. So have you kind of seen that now progressing with more and more students coming to use this kind of time?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I mean, I was just doing the statistics for this school year up to now. So up to this break that we're in right now, Thanksgiving break, between all of the campuses, we've had 400 individual office hour meetings. So just from the beginning of this school year. Not me, the program, right? And so I think a lot of people come to take advantage of that, and I hope that it's beneficial for them. I think that chaplaincy and the way that we do the hours, especially on college campuses, I would describe it more closely as suhbah than as counseling. So suhbah meaning just trying to give them good company. And, you know, chaplains are not generally trained as counselors. Chaplaincy as a training revolves largely around, I would say, listening to people and authentically relating to them and hearing them and supporting them and helping them to better understand themselves so that they can make their own decisions, which I don't think is so different than counseling in some ways, but in some ways it is. We recognize that we ourselves have limitations, is my point. That we recognize, as I can speak for everyone in the program, we recognize that we're not counselors, we're not trained therapists, with the exception of Shaykh Suhail Mullah, who's a social worker, he's a licensed social worker. But you know, we recognize our limits there, and we try to engage and refer out to those who have professional expertise on issues that are needing that. But a lot of, as probably you guys know in your experience, is that a lot of what people need in college is the counseling is definitely needed at times, but a lot of it is just they need good company that grounds them. Tells them, like, okay, what you're going through, that's totally normal. I've been there too. And we're here together, and we're going to get through it together, and like it's going to be okay, you know. And to just give them perspective and remind them of certain things and just be there for them. So that's really what we do. If there's like an image that I think of, is the image of an anchor. Like, we try to be anchors in the lives of the students that we engage with, that hopefully kind of like draws them closer to wanting to have some sort of relationship with Islam. But if not, even if it doesn't, we're still there to serve them regardless of, you know, what it might be. And sometimes you have students like that. They come to you, they don't really have a very close relationship with Islam, but they come to you because they know that their friends told them that, yo, listen. And you might tell them something that will help them. And look, I've had non-Muslims come, right? So it's interesting and it's beautiful. And I think that the field of chaplaincy and some of the ideas behind chaplaincy are really needed in the Muslim community. And it's standard in other religious communities that people have to do. If you're going to be a minister, if you're going to be a rabbi, these kind of things, you have to do clinical pastoral education, which is the base of chaplaincy. And in our community, that's really needed, because just, you know, the basic, how do I interact with another human being in a way that's respectful and gives them dignity and honors where they're coming from and all that kind of stuff is many times not there. And it's really devastating. you know. And the opposite is really empowering, you know. So yeah, it's wonderful. Alhamdulillah. Very happy to do that work. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
If there's any major donors out there, hit me up. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
What are some of the main issues that you see popping up amongst the university students?
It's gonna sound kind of like, how do you say, self-serving, but I think that the biggest issue is that they don't have good company. And when I look back on my own life and I think about the people that I was around when I became a Muslim, the resources that we took advantage of in our community, that's what really made the difference. Like when we first got married was the first year Shaykh Taha Hassan came to San Diego in ICSD. And I went to Shaykh Taha. I was like, Shaykh, you know, I'm the MSA president. We want you to come be with us once a week for Islamic studies. Shaykh Taha said, yeah, sure, bismillah, you know. He still does Islamic studies for the UCSD MSA. That was literally 13 years ago. And our judgment of the MSA was always how many people come to the Islamic studies class. We don't care about the event. We don't care about the meeting, anything, because we knew that's like the grounding of everything. But we moved in across the street from the masjid. We used to go spend time with Shaykh Taha almost every day. Just good company, right? Just sit in his office. I wouldn't even talk to him. I just sit in his office. He's doing whatever he's doing. He's like, I don't have time to talk right now, but you're welcome to sit there, you know. And might get a few things and whatever, and it'd be beneficial, right? And good older people who had graduated a few years before that would come around and give advice to the students and stuff like that. So I think what are young people missing the most, I think, is actual real community. If it's like everything else is just obviously there's issues with parents and there's issues with identity and there's issues with science and there's issues with understanding Islam and all of those kind of things. But in the end of the day, like, what trumps all of that is giving people good company. You can't ignore those issues, but they'll get dealt with, you know. And that's what I think we really need. We have all kinds of people who spend all their time online and they think they're like serving their community, doing debates online and different things. You know, serving anything. We'd be a lot more useful if you just went and spent some time with some middle school kids, you know, and just love them and told them that you love them and spend some time with them and like be there for them, you know. So that's what we really need. It's too lonely. Things are too lonely.